أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This week for the thought, which are based upon the traditions, the statements, the wise words of wisdom from the Prophet and his noble family, may God's peace and blessings be upon all of them. We want to reflect on a tradition which talks about the rights of the animal kingdom. Now obviously the world that we live in today is ripe of different organizations which are fighting for animal rights. You have groups who are people for the ethical treatment of animals. You have individuals who will rescue stray cats, dogs. You have people who will devote their life to taking care of animals. And there's nothing wrong with this. These are creations of the Creator. These are creations that God has given to us, that we are able to enjoy, that we are able to benefit from, that we are able to use in many ways, as the Quran has specifically told us. But at the same time that we are allowed to use these animals, we're allowed to benefit from them, we also understand that they have rights that they have to, that we have to observe, that they have been, brought on this earth. They have been given to us, not to abuse, but to make use of. And so today the tradition, let us see what the Prophet has to say about one aspect of animal rights within the beautiful teachings of Islam. In this tradition, the Prophet says the following statement: "No animal, including a bird or any other kind, is killed unjustly except that it will raise a complaint against the killer on the day of resurrection." We see with what power and force the Prophet speaks about animal rights within this tradition. Now keep in mind that this was 1400 years ago, when humans barely had rights, when there was no such thing as human rights, where there was no declaration of human rights, where there were no international bodies that people could go to and complain of human right abuses and oppression and injustices being meted out to them. In such an environment, in the stark, harsh realities of the Arabian life of 14 centuries ago, the beloved Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him and his family, comes forth and says that there is not a single animal, an animal, whatever you may think, a cow, a horse, a pig, a dog, a cat, a donkey, whatever kind of animal, including the bird kingdom. He says any of these, that none of these animals, basically, he says, have a right for us to abuse them, to unjustly kill them. And if we do, that animal will actually complain against us on the day of resurrection. Now obviously we don't have a lot of time to go into this discussion, but just to give you one example of the level of human rights in Islam and what Islam tells us of how to respect the creations around us. In the jurisprudence of Islam, we're told that if a Muslim were to go sport fishing or sport hunting, meaning that they go out to hunt an animal, or they go to fish, but not for the sake of food, not for the sake of making use of that animal, but just to frame it on their wall, to make it as a trophy that they were able to capture this ferocious bear or a deer or even fish, that this actually is prohibited within Islam. And if a person had undertaken such a journey, as we know in Islam, when a person travels a certain number of kilometers away from their home base, they are entitled to a reduction of their prayers, to perform the prayers in the shortened form. However, the scholars of jurisprudence tell us that if a person were to go sport hunting, sport fishing, any of these actions, not for the sake of a need, but just for the pure enjoyment of killing an animal unjustly, that they have not only committed a sin, but they are actually obligated to perform the prayers in full. That's right, they have to pray their prayers in full. They're not entitled to that legal reduction in their responsibilities. So this at one level shows us that animals have rights within Islam. We have to respect them. We have to treat them with dignity, with care, with honor. And if we do take their life for food, as we are permitted to within the Quran, we do so by following the legal injunctions given to us in the Quran and in the prophetic tradition. And we do not abuse such animals, whether they be wild animals in the jungles, in the forests, or whether we have pets at home. All of these have a right with Allah, and we have to observe these rights if we wish to be followers of the tradition of Islam as taught by the noble Prophet Muhammad, May God's peace and blessings be upon him and his family. Let us remember this and always ensure that even those animals which we come across are given respect and rights and the dignity which they deserve as creations of the most merciful Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.